According to Teeka Tiwari, this official government document is about to trigger the biggest wealth creation event in the history of cryptos, giving you a chance to turn a handful of $1,000 investments into what Teeka calls your freedom number. That's the amount of money you need to get the life you want. Enough money to do what you want, when you want, with whomever you want. After picking 27 coins that jump by more than 1,000%, and after being voted the #1 most trusted crypto expert by a panel of 130,000 analysts, Teeka is now going to discuss his top 6 coins for 2024, because this event will only happen one time. If you miss this, you'll probably never see an opportunity like this again. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Freedom 2024. I'm John Burke, and I'll be your host for Teeka Tiwari's first briefing of the year. Now, we're here tonight because Teeka believes 2024 could be the biggest wealth-building year of your life, and it's all thanks to an unprecedented event that just happened in Washington, D.C. Teeka, how are you?
I'm doing great, John. It's always wonderful to see you. Friends, I want to thank you so much for being here tonight. This tells me that you're incredibly serious about your financial future. Now, for most folks, it's natural to procrastinate. They're going to want to watch the replay of tonight's session tomorrow or later this week. But here's the problem with that, because by the time they watch the replay, I believe it'll already be too late. And here's why I say that. I want you to take a look at this official government document that you see on your screen. That's what's called an S-1 form. You see, once this document was filed with the US government, it started a countdown to what I believe will be the biggest wealth creation event in the history of cryptos, and potentially the biggest wealth creation event in the history of any financial asset. But unfortunately, John, most people will be too late. But you should know this opportunity, it's open to everyone. But again, it's unfortunate because not everyone will take advantage of it.
I'm curious, are you talking about the Bitcoin halving? Because I know that that's happening this year.
No, I'm actually not talking about the halving, but yes, the Bitcoin halving is wildly bullish for crypto and wildly bullish for Bitcoin, but that's not happening until April. The Bitcoin halving, again, let me tell you, is a huge, huge deal. But as big as the halving is, it's not going to launch an entirely new crypto industry.
So you're saying this is bigger than the Bitcoin halving?
Oh, it's much bigger because it goes well beyond Bitcoin. John, I believe this will reshape the entire crypto market. I'm talking about the largest bull market we have ever seen in any financial asset. I mean, let me give you an idea of just how big this is. Even Bloomberg, right, which is a notorious hater of all things crypto, called the event a game changer. Crypto's big breakthrough on Wall Street. Barron's says it's inevitable. And Wall Street advisor Rick Edelman said it will change everything. So you have to be prepared for that now. And I completely agree with him.
So the word I'm hearing right now is urgent, extremely urgent.
It is extremely urgent because this event that just happened in Washington, D.C. will help launch an entirely new crypto industry. And I believe it will happen very quickly. If you blink, you'll miss it. And we only have one shot here because this is not like a Bitcoin halving event that happens every 4 years. You miss a Bitcoin halving event, okay, 4 years later, you get another one. This event can only happen for the first time, one time. And that's why venture capitalists like Mark Andreessen, who is a legend, are positioned for this event. It's why the Bitcoin pioneers like the Winklevoss twins have invested enormous sums of money ahead of this event. It's why billionaires like Mark Cuban and Elon Musk, the richest man in the world, are also positioned for this event. So we have some of the smartest people on the planet are preparing for this because they understand it will be a game changer. John, you're not going to believe this, but even Warren Buffett is positioned for this historic crypto event.
Come on. Warren Buffett, right? I mean, he's the biggest crypto hater ever. Didn't he? He called Bitcoin rat poison squared. That's what he did.
He did. But let me just say, Warren Buffett has a history of speaking poorly about something and then getting involved.
Ah,
Right? He called financial derivatives weapons of mass destruction and ended up putting billions of dollars in financial
interesting.
derivatives.
Yeah, yeah.
Right, but let's talk about Bitcoin. I've lost count of how many times he said that Bitcoin has no value. He hates Bitcoin. His old partner, Charlie Munger, equated it with trading baby brains. I mean, some really just crazy things. But here's the key, one of the key lessons I've learned from being involved in the financial markets across the 80s, the 90s, the double O's, and the teens. And that it's rather than listening to what smart money is saying, you should look at what they're doing with their money. What they're doing is much more important than what they say.
So are you saying that Warren Buffett is actually investing in crypto after calling Bitcoin rat poison?
Let me be very clear about what I'm saying. I'm saying that he put his firm's money on the line to profit from widespread crypto adoption. Now, this didn't get much press from the media. Warren Buffett did not say a single word about this at the last Berkshire Hathaway shareholder meeting. And of course, his firm didn't publish a press release either. But here are the facts. He quietly made a $750 million crypto-related investment ahead of this event.
750 million. I mean, that is, that's surprising to me. And I'll tell you what, for Warren Buffett to be getting anywhere near crypto, let alone make a $750 million investment, I'm thinking this event has got to be big. And here's the thing, if you're not talking about Bitcoin halving, the only other thing that I can think of is the approval of a Bitcoin ETF. I've seen a lot of hype around that. Is that what you're talking about?
That's definitely one piece of the puzzle, and it's an incredibly important piece, but it's not the full story. You see, everyone is missing the other pieces of this puzzle, and this goes far beyond the approval of just one ETF. You see, most folks are missing the big picture, and that, my friend, is where all of that game-changing, life-changing, freedom money, that's where all of that is found. So here's a promise I'm going to make to you, John, and to everyone at home. I will explain everything tonight because once this event happens, I believe this handful of grub state coins that I put together could double in a single day and go far, far higher than that as this entire trend plays out.
You just said the word coins. So you're not talking about just buying Bitcoin, right?
No, I'm not. But if anybody watching tonight doesn't already own Bitcoin, you should go and buy some right now. I believe Bitcoin will eventually trade to $500,000 a coin. But I believe the biggest gains, the percentage biggest gains, they can't come from Bitcoin because Bitcoin's so big now. The biggest gains will happen in a tiny, tiny niche of the market. It's a subsector of the entire crypto space. Now, if you want a chance to reach your freedom number in 2024, you've got to focus on the subsector of the crypto market, these tiny coins that very few people cover because most people don't know about them because they comprise less than 1% of all coins. And John, I believe this will go down as the biggest bull run in the history of all financial markets, not just crypto, even bigger than the bull run of 2017 that gave my readers the chance to turn $1,000 into as much as $367,515 in Binance. The same bull run that turned $1,000 into as much as $543,000. That's $500,000 in Ethereum. And even $1,000 into over $1.5 million into NEO. That is what is at stake in this bull run. But again, this bull run is only going to happen at that magnitude in a very small number of coins from an even smaller subsector of cryptos that most people have never heard of. So if you don't mind, I'm going to chat with everybody at home about this a bit more.
By all means.
Friends, I'm going to ask you to keep an open mind tonight because these coins that I'm going to discuss with you, they're not the ordinary coins that you're now seeing on CNBC or even on the internet. When I show you what's special about these coins, you're going to say things like, Tawari, you're making this up. This is a bunch of nonsense. This can't be real. This must be some kind of marketing BS or it's a scam. I get it. When something's brand new, it's very easy to dismiss it. So what I'm going to do is ask you for a favor. I'm not only just going to ask you to keep an open mind for the short time we're together this evening, I'm going to ask for you to rely on my credibility for a little bit. I've been in this space now for 7 years. I've been coming to you and doing these types of videos since 2016, and I've consistently been right. Again and again and again and again. And so tonight, what we're talking about is nothing less than your freedom. That's why I'm here. Now, I know that freedom means different things to different people. For some, it's the freedom to own a new car every 3 years. For others, it's the freedom to spend your time doing volunteer work. For others, it's owning, and this was a big one for me for a long time, owning an offshore capable fishing rig, one that you actually have the time to use. You know, when I was much younger, for me, it was really simple. Freedom was having enough money so that I could own my own car for cash. I didn't want to have to make a monthly payment. It was having enough extra money that I could buy the better quality diapers for my daughter instead of the budget brand that left her little tushy sore with diaper rash. You know, I remember, back probably 25, 30 years ago, money being so tight, I was chronically late on my car payments. I was always afraid of the car being repoed. I'd park the car 5 streets over and walk to my 3rd floor rental, praying that the car would still be there when I left in the morning. Nobody deserves that kind of stress. I remember what that felt like. It eats you alive. And look, since then, both my life and my dreams, they've changed dramatically. All my cars are bought and paid for. All my children's cars are bought and paid for. My children's college and housing costs are completely paid for. My granddaughter's college is already paid for. And today I live in a beautiful home in the Caribbean, overlooking the ocean, where I often spend my time sailing my 50-foot red-hulled catamaran. But here's the thing. It was crypto that helped me get there. Friends, I can tell you from personal experience that once you hit that freedom number, everything changes. Because now you can live the life that you want instead of the life that has been forced upon you. I want you to have that same feeling. So I want you to really, really think about your freedom number. Because no matter what that number is, I believe this crypto event can help get you there. Perhaps even as soon as by the end of this year. And you'll be able to do it without putting your current lifestyle at risk. I'm talking about a once-in-a-generation chance for you to buy your freedom from a handful of $1,000 investments. So, John, here's my plan for the rest of the night. I'm going to reveal what exactly is happening in Washington, D.C. I'll explain what's so special about these coins. I'm going to discuss my top 6 coins for 2024, and I'll even give away a free pick with no strings attached. It's a project that has partnered with Visa and Shopify to process payments on the blockchain. So the gains here could be outlandish. Does that sound like a good plan, John?
Yeah, that sounds amazing. As a matter of fact, Tika, when you were talking about your freedom number, I was thinking to myself, I have that. I have a freedom number in mind. I know exactly what I need to get the life that I want. So, folks, I'd like to ask you for a favor. You see that box to your right? That's where you can type in any questions you have for Tika. Later on in the broadcast, we're going to have a Q&A where Tika will try to answer as many questions as possible. But right now, if you don't mind, I want you to type in there, what's your freedom number? And don't worry, this is completely private. Tika and I are the only ones who are going to see this. I want you to type that number in there because Tika said that he's going to show you how it's possible to reach that number. Now, I'm not exactly sure how he's going to back this up, but we're going to get into the details right now. So, Tika, let's unpack this story. You said this situation in Washington, D.C. will trigger the biggest wealth creation event in the history of crypto, but the big money will be made in a small subsector of the market. You said that the biggest gains will come from a subset of special coins in this small sector. So let's talk about that. What is so special about those coins?
Well, what makes them special is that unlike most cryptocurrencies, and friends, this is going to sound weird, so stay with me. These coins have a special line of programming in them. And that programming tells you, how can I put this so it sounds weird even we just saying it, John, but the coins pay you to hold them. They pay you a fee, sometimes daily, sometimes weekly, sometimes monthly, on top of capital gains. So I'm talking about automatic payouts that the computer code credits your account. Again, day by day, month after month, no matter what's happening in the market. And I know it sounds really odd because there's nothing in the financial system that works like that right now.
Can I be honest with you?
Yeah.
It sounds crazy.
Okay.
I'm not sure I get it. I mean, what do you mean by program to pay us?
Yeah, that's why I ask everyone to keep an open mind, because whenever we're faced with something that's completely new or different, we immediately discount it, that it either doesn't have value or it's not real or you can't invest in it or it's a scam. So it makes sense that whenever I talk about these coins, most people either tune out because they don't believe it or they just completely don't understand it. And do you know why, John?
Why?
Well, because these cryptos, they are weird, right? We don't have a frame of reference in the traditional financial world to compare them to. We don't have any asset other really than stocks that pay dividends, right? That pay you to hold them. There's no crypto equivalent to that, right? Where, okay, if I just buy this crypto is going to pay me just to hold it. But that's the way they work. So no matter what is happening in the wider world, you automatically get money just by holding these tokens. You're being incentivized to hold them. And over time, those payouts, they can go up exponentially, John. They can create life-changing money.
I shy away from using this word, but I'm going to use it. Sounds like a scam.
Yeah, I get it. Just for everybody at home to know, I've been helping people make money from these particular types of coins since 2018. So, and we've made people collectively millions of dollars from these coins. So I get it, right? To many people, this type of crypto still feels like a scam because, again, they have no frame of reference. But I promise I'm going to explain everything in just a moment, and I'm going to really show you why it's not a scam. And in fact, if you understand how these things work, you can take a small amount of money and magnify it dramatically. But for now, here's the key, and this is an incredibly important part I want everyone to pay very special attention to. These coins set you up to get paid month after month after month like clockwork. And it's not like a dividend where somebody can slash the dividend in half. You know, Walgreens just cut their dividend in half and the stock is now collapsing in price. These payouts are built into the code. No one can change them. These coins must pay you no matter what's happening in the market, whether the market's going up, down, or sideways. It doesn't matter. Even right now, with all the uncertainties that's going on across the whole global stage, geopolitical risks, do we have inflation? How high is it going to be? Is the economy going to have a soft landing or a hard landing? It's a presidential election year. Who's going to win? None of that matters. These coins must continue to pay you because it's built into the code. So unfortunately, millions and millions of Americans don't know and will never know about these coins. And by the time they do, it'll be too late because these coins would have become widely adopted by institutions. Take a look at what Bloomberg said, John, about these coins. And again, Bloomberg has been no lover of crypto, and yet they called these coins one of the least understood but hottest corners of the digital asset world.
By the way, did you say it's a presidential election year? I didn't know that. This is absolutely fascinating, Teek. It really is. So is it fair to say that this is a new way to invest in crypto?
I would say if you look at the investing public, 99.99% of the investment public, this is a brand new way to invest in cryptos. I would say most of the people even watching tonight that are more crypto savvy than the general population, this is probably a new idea for them. So even Forbes called it, and I quote, a new way to make money. You see, these coins are very rare. Like I mentioned before, less than 1% of all the existing cryptos, and there's thousands of them now, come with these automatic payouts. So most people don't know about this, or if they do know about it, they don't know which ones they should be buying. So tonight, I'm going to show everyone watching how they work. I'm going to explain how these coins can potentially help you reach your freedom number in 2024 faster than any other financial asset in the history of financial markets. Now, I've already selected my top 6 coins that have these automatic payouts, and I'm going to discuss all of them tonight. These are the same types of coins that have already given my readers a chance to turn $1,000 into their freedom number, all while getting paid month after month after month. And like I said before, I'll also give everyone watching tonight the name of one of those coins completely free of charge. It's a coin that's set to pay about $1.6 billion in these payouts this coming year. So I'm going to give everyone here tonight a chance to get a piece of that pie, whether they end up joining me and doing something with me or not.
I find this all so fascinating. I really do. Now, I don't know where that $1.6 billion could possibly come from or how you're possibly going to back this up, Tika, but on the surface, it sounds amazing. So, folks, just to be clear, when Tika promises something free, it comes with no strings attached. You don't have to subscribe to any of his services. He's not going to make you jump through any hoops or give your credit card number or anything like that. Just stick with us for a few minutes, and he's going to give you the name of this coin for free, and you don't want to miss that. And here's why I say that. Take a look at this table. Tika's past free picks have an average peak gain of more than 1,000%. Now, these are the free picks that he's given away in past broadcasts, just like this one. So, folks, get ready to write down the name of that coin, because just based on this average, we're talking about the potential for you to make 10 times your money or more. And that is coming up in just a moment. All right, Tika. I know that you're going to explain exactly what is happening in Washington, D.C. and why this event is such a game changer. But for right now, I want to confess something to you. I can't wrap my head around this idea of automatic payouts. Like, how is that possible? And why would these coins be programmed to pay us on top of the capital gains?
Okay, you're asking all the right questions. And these are the questions that you want to ask whenever you're faced with something new. If you want to have life-changing gains, we're talking about Freedom 2024, you have to buy after a big sell-off, and you have to buy right before the adoption of the asset takes a new leg higher. So what do I mean by adoption? If we look at the smartphone, when it first came out in 2007, maybe a couple of million people had it. Within 10 years, 1 billion people had it, right? That's adoption. That's more people coming in to the technology. So that's the sweet spot in these types of cryptos. You buy them after a big sell-off, but you got to buy them right before a big upswing in adoption. So let me show you an example from 2020 to show you exactly how this works. There should be a chart coming up on the screen. Take a look at this coin, John. Now, if you were just looking at this chart, and I know you're not a chartist, but even a novice knows that this chart makes you want to throw up, right?
Yes, yeah. That's what I was thinking. This does not look good.
Right. You don't have to know anything about charting to know that that's puke-inducing. It crashed by more than 50%, and that was because of the pandemic. So it was just coming out of a big correction. So the first trigger was there, right? The coin was cheap. And I knew this was no ordinary coin because it came with automatic payouts. This particular blockchain project was also going through an upgrade at the time. And I believe that upgrade would trigger the second piece, massive adoption. Again, what do I mean by massive adoption? It means that more people, millions more people, would come into this project. And whenever that happens, that's when prices go bananas. And that's why I recommended it to my readers in March 2020. And I wrote, we want to be ahead of the curve and ready to profit as soon as the upgrade rolls out. With increasing usage by major enterprises, the future is bright for this coin. Look what happened to adoption after I wrote that. What do you see, John?
Wow, it exploded, just like you said. So that was the sweet spot. You recommended this coin after a correction, but before adoption exploded.
That's the sweet spot. Like, friends, I'm trying to make this as simple as possible so you can be really clear as to why you need to take action right now, right? We're just coming off of a brutal 2-year bear market. We're about to watch a massive explosion of new adoption. So let's take a look back at this example and look what happened next. Anyone who listened to me and had invested just $1,000 had a chance to automatically collect the payouts. This is just the payout portion of a little over $5,000 in automatic payouts.
So that is 5 times your money just from the income.
Just from the income. But remember, there's more to the story, because on top of the income that you get from the payouts, you also get the capital gains from the coin moving higher in price. So anyone who listened to me had a chance to turn $1,000 into a little more than $42,000. 42 times your money in less than 2 years.
All right. Let me see if I get this straight, okay? Because it sounds like you get paid to make more money. So I got to make sure I'm understanding this correctly. Had I listened to you and invested $1,000 in this coin, it would have paid me about $5,000 just to own the thing.
Right.
Now, that's already 5 times of my money, so I'm doing okay. On top of that, I'd make 42 times my money from capital gains. So I'm essentially getting paid to make even more money.
Right. And when you say it like that, it does sound crazy. But that's exactly how it works, John. Now, again, is it that simple? No, we have to do enormous amounts of research, John. Like, I have a whole team, 7-figure research budget, my folks flying all over the world. This is not like 1, 2, 3, just throwing a dart at a dartboard. We have to go in. We have to look at the code. We have to see who's behind the project. We have to see, is the usage going to be there? Is this a real project or somebody just looking to cash in on the hype? There's so much work that you have to do. So friends, I don't want you to think that you can, again, just throw a dart and pick a coin. It doesn't work like that. But when you do the research and you buy after a big dip right before an adoption explosion, all bets are off. And let me ask you, where else are you going to find an investment that pays you 5 times your money while you're waiting to make 42 times your money?
Come on, you can't ask a question like that. It doesn't exist, at least nothing like I've ever seen before. Now, you said earlier that less than 1% of coins offer these automatic payouts. So how did you know that this particular coin that you just mentioned was programmed to do that, to pay your readers?
So this is where my research team really comes into play. In the beginning, it was just me. Nobody was interested in crypto, even within my own publishing firm. They were like, Tawari's lost the plot, just give him enough rope to hang himself. And they did, and fortunately, it really worked out. But since those days, I now have a large team. And these men and women are brilliant, really, really, really smart people. So I have them looking at the actual code of hundreds of different projects. So we knew this was a special coin because it had this special line of code built into its blockchain. So my team and I, we look at the code, we confirm the coin was programmed to pay my readers. I actually have a screenshot of that code here. It should be coming up on the screen right now. If you see that line of code at the top, that's the code that basically tells the coin to pay you over and over and over again as you hold that coin. Now, while the value of the payouts may vary because they're tied to the price of the underlying crypto, that payment is set to come to you day by day, month by month, year by year, no matter what's going on in the market. And it's a game changer, John.
It sounds incredible, but I got to take a step back here. I want to play a little devil's advocate. Now, that example that you just showed us was from 2020. Wasn't the investment environment completely different back then?
Do you remember what was going on in March 2020? It was very similar to what we're experiencing today, John. Back then, the crypto market was just starting to recover from a brutal correction. That's exactly what's happening now. We're just coming out of a big correction from 2021 and 2022. And that's exactly when you want to buy these income coins, right after a huge correction. I'm going to show you another example to prove my point. There should be another chart coming up on the screen.
Okay, that one looks even worse than the last one you showed me. That got devastated.
Devastated. I mean, look at it. It dropped more than 80% during the crypto winter of 2018. Now, look, if you didn't have a relationship with me or you didn't know what my track record was, you'd think I would be nuts recommending that.
Absolutely.
Right, John?
Yeah, crazy.
Right? It just looks horrible.
Right,
So,
what are you doing?
Here's what I knew. We were coming out of this horrible bear market, and I knew investors were throwing the baby out with the bathwater, but I also knew that this was no ordinary coin. The coin was programmed to pay you. And this blockchain project, based on the research we had done, was telling us that they were going to improve privacy on the internet, which is a huge problem. So our research and our model suggested that adoption would explode higher for this coin.
Again, that was the sweet spot, right? It's right after a correction, but before an explosion in adoption.
Right, and that's why I recommended it to my readers in September of 2019. Take a listen to what I wrote. This is just the beginning. As more institutions wake up to the power of income-producing crypto investments, in the years ahead, you'll be able to look back and see just how far ahead of the pack you were by getting involved in this coin. Now take a look at this chart. As you can see, adoption took off after I recommended this coin exactly the way that our research said it would.
Spot on.
Right, and because of that, anyone who followed that recommendation, well, as soon as they bought it, they started getting paid right away with the automatic payouts. So let's say you put $1,000 into this idea. You'd have collected $9,000 just in automatic payouts. Incredible, right?
Incredible. I tell you what, Tika, it sounds like a no-brainer. I mean, if I'm investing in crypto already, hey, why not collect the extra $9,000? That's 9 times your money out of the gate. That's amazing.
Yes, but you know what sounds even better? Getting paid $9,000 while you sit and wait to make even more money.
Yeah.
You see, on top of those payouts, that $1,000 investment that you've made would have given you $9,000 in payouts and $55,000 in capital gains.
Can you imagine? Like if I go and tell somebody, listen, I'm going to give you $9,000. You only got to do one thing. All you got to do is wait, and you're going to make an extra $55,000. I mean, my head is just spinning here.
Right. And so this is why I think I have the toughest time explaining these types of coins to people, because it just seems impossible. But here's the caveat, friends, that I want to make very clear to you. The only way that you could make that type of gain, the only way that was possible, is because my readers trusted me enough to get in at that sweet spot. It is emotionally difficult to buy a coin after an 80% correction. It's really hard, no matter how much proof I show you about adoption taking off. And those people, if there was anything that was special about them, it was that they had the courage to say, you know what? This Tiwari guy's been right a lot for years and years. He's not asking me to bet the ranch. He's saying, put $500, put $1,000 into it, and let's see what he does. And for those people, they made $9,000 just by holding it and $55,000 in capital gains. Why? Because they bought after a correction, but before adoption took off. And that is the key. Take a look at this other recommendation. When I found this coin, again, investors had left it for dead. Now, I want you to put yourself in the position of one of my readers, and I came to you after this coin had crashed 90%.
Tika, it looks like it's going straight to zero. What are you telling me here?
Right, think about this. You know, John, I come to you and I say, okay, it's down 90%. But then I say, look, I think if you just put $1,000 into this, the opportunity exists for you to build an entire investment nest egg in this coin in just 2 years. Let's say I said that to you, John. Let's say, friends at home, I said that to you. What would you have said?
I'd say if this was a fruit, it would be bananas.
Right. And I think there's some folks at home would probably have some fruitier words than that to describe me.
I'm being kind.
Which I get. I do get. Some of these things that we talk about sound nuts. But yeah, you'd probably call the nut house, put me in a straitjacket. Maybe you'd call me a con man. Maybe you'd call me a liar. Maybe you'd call me deluded, right? But here's the thing. I had done the research. I knew that this was no ordinary coin. I knew it was programmed to pay you month after month after month. And this coin was a blockchain payment network that I knew was expanding into Asia's $2.5 trillion digital payment market. That's the key here. It's the research, right? We knew that this was a huge market. And so we believed that adoption would go through the roof. And this is what I wrote to my readers, essentially screaming, buy, buy, buy. I wrote, and this is a direct quote, friends, this is a direct quote from what I wrote. Getting into this asset is a decision you'll look back on as one that transformed your financial life forever. How's that for putting your mouth where your money is?
Yeah,
where your mouth
I got to say, when you say it like that, that's a bold statement.
Now let's check out the adoption. And this is why I could make that statement. I had done the research. The adoption went to the moon. What do you think happened to the coin?
I think that your readers had a chance to make a lot of money.
John, you're not going to believe this, but look what happened. Had you put, again, just $1,000, I'm not talking about a crazy amount of money, just $1,000 when I recommended it, you could have collected $6,500 in payouts.
That's incredible. So I'm making more than 6 times my money in a year.
Oh, not on this one. This was a special one. Remember, I said this one was a life changer. You were making $6,500 a month. You were making $6,500 a month in automatic payouts.
Are you telling me, Tika, that had I followed your recommendation and invested $1,000 into this coin, I'd get paid $6,500 the next month and $6,500 the following month and so on and so on? Is that what you're saying?
I'm saying that you would get paid month after month after month. I want you to think about that, John.
I can't. My brain is melting. It's amazing.
Now, again, that's just the income portion of this. Just the money you'd get paid just to hold the coin. There's also the capital gain piece. Remember when I said my readers had a chance to build an entire nest egg? In this case, you could have turned that $1,000 into more than $715,000.
$1,000 into $715,000. And you know what? That's your freedom number right there, isn't it?
That's your freedom. So think about that, John. Starting with just $1,000, you could gain your freedom. And on top of that, you get paid month after month after month like clockwork. It's insane.
It's insane. We say it a lot, but there's just no other way to say it. I mean, most Americans can only dream of building that kind of nest egg starting with just $1,000. I mean, that itself is already crazy. And that kind of monthly income, well, it just takes this to a whole nother level of insanity. And what's really mind-blowing about this is that all these examples are coming straight from your track record. This is data, right?
Yeah, I'm smiling because so many people will do an event like this and they'll have a back test, right? So this is not a back test. These are real trade alerts that went out, real readers that had a chance to turn $1,000 into $42,000. Real readers that had a chance to turn $1,000 into $55,000. A chance to turn $1,000 into $715,000. And on top of that, getting paid month after month after month after month. I don't know that there's anyone in the entire crypto space that has such a public and verified track record that I do in the space. It's truly remarkable.
Nobody I know.
You know, and here's the thing. I believe this event in Washington, D.C. will create another rare opportunity like that where adoption it explodes to anything beyond anything we've ever seen before. Now, friends, this is really, really important. And I say this, I've said this every single time I've got in front of a camera since 2016. Can I guarantee that the 6 coins I'll be discussing here today will make you richer than your wildest dreams? I can't. Could I do that when I made the recommendation in the past? No. Anybody who says that they can guarantee you returns, quite frankly, they're either lying to themselves or they're lying to you, and you should run the other way. But again, I want to point out that these gains that I'm showing, the same gains that I couldn't guarantee at the time when I made those recommendations, are not coming from some crazy hypothetical example I asked one of the kids on my team to find online. These are real results from my model portfolios that go back for years. And these massive gains were only possible because these coins were purchased at the sweet spot, right after a big correction, but before adoption exploded.
Okay, stop right there, because I want to ask you this. When you buy right after a big correction, don't you risk catching a falling knife. I mean, what if the correction isn't over?
Well, I'll tell you right now, John, the corrections is over. In 2023, Bitcoin more than doubled. And just over the last 90 days or so, many other cryptos have doubled and tripled in price. I believe this is the beginning of the biggest bull market in the history of crypto and potentially in the history of any financial asset. But let's say, you know what? Let's say I'm completely wrong. Let's say my research is wrong. The last 7 years have just been a crazy fluke. I recommended 27 coins. It went up a minimum of 1,000%. He got lucky, right? Let's make that assumption.
Yeah, whatever. Go ahead. Yeah, I got it.
What I want everyone to understand at home is that I'm not asking my readers to take some wild risk that could ruin them financially. What I've always asked my readers to do is take a very calculated, very manageable risk when they go into this asset class. Because when you buy after a correction, many of these coins, they trade for pocket change. Sometimes some coins trade for less than a penny. So you don't need to invest a lot in order to make a lot. Remember, John, we're talking about tiny grub stakes here, $500, $1,000. If I'm wrong in the worst case scenario and a coin goes to zero, okay, you lose $1,000. It hurts. It's not fun, but is it going to bankrupt you? Is that going to leave you with a cap in hand begging for food money outside Grand Central Station?
No. I mean, I get what you're saying. Losing $1,000, yeah, it hurts, but it's not going to change your life. Look, I've lost $1,000. I can't even count how many times I've lost $1,000, just gone.
Right, that's my point. Losing $1,000 will not change your life. And I don't want anybody to lose money, but I recognize, risks are part of the game, right? So what we've done that's really different is we found a way to harness this risk in a way that works for us, that doesn't bankrupt us, right? Because think about it. What if you start with $1,000 and that $1,000 puts you in a position where you can make $6,500 this month, $6,500 the next month, $6,500 the following month, and on top of that, you make $715,000. Now, I can't guarantee that will happen again, but ask yourself, if it did, what does that do to your life?
Yeah, it changes everything. Changes everything. Like I said, I mean, that's a freedom number right there. You can say goodbye to all your daily money worries.
John, exactly. I mean, do you think you'd be worried about the price of gas if you're getting $6,500 a month every single month?
No, I would not.
On top of whatever you're making in your job?
No, you wouldn't.
Right. Inflation, non-event, right?
Non-event.
So that's how you can buy your freedom with just a handful of $1,000 investments. Again, just like before, I can't guarantee that those investments will do that, right? No, nobody can. But what I can say is that there's no other investment I've discovered that can put you in a position to transform your life in such a rapid and dynamic way as buying these coins after a correction, but right before a massive explosion in adoption. This is how you close the gap between the life you have now and the life you want in the future without putting your current lifestyle at risk and without having to wait decades and decades laboring under the watchful eye of somebody you despise for 20, 30 years in your career like you have to do in the traditional stock market.
And I want to point out that if your readers are already doing it, I'm guessing everyone can do this.
Everyone. In fact, let me show you one note that I got from one of my readers. He said, talk about conservative. I started with $100 on each crypto. Then about 2.5 years ago, the account went over $1 million.
Wow.
I trust you with my family's future. You have proven that a real beginner can achieve real wealth. Thanks very much for your services. Now, this reader called Rick, even though he was a self-confessed newbie, he was able to turn a small stake into $1 million. That's a freedom number right there.
Yeah, it is.
So many people have written to me, come up to me at conferences, stopped me in the street and told me how a single trade idea, very often one I gave away for free, changed their life.
Well, yeah. I mean, I know that personally, that many of your readers have already reached their freedom numbers. And I know that because I was the MC at the last Legacy Investment Summit. What a great time that was. And I had a chance to meet some of your readers in person, fantastic people. And they just kept telling me over and over and over again about how your research had changed their lives. In fact, some of your readers were so happy that they even volunteered to tell their stories on camera. So I want to share this short clip because, look, folks, if I just say this, I don't think anybody would believe me. It wouldn't matter that much. But take a look at this.
You've turned our starter egg of $12,000 into $1.2 million. You have sent my entire investing retirement goal into warp speed.
On a $300 investment, turned it into over $200,000.
So from that $10,000 in December of 2017, it had gone up to $330,000, and we were just amazed.
From when I started, I invested about $25,000, and my portfolio is like $2.2 million.
These stories are mind-blowing, aren't they?
They really are. John, I know I've said this quite a few times, but it bears repeating. Again, these results were possible because those folks got in at the sweet spot, right after a correction, which required trust, and before a major explosion in adoption, which again, required them to trust us that we had done our research. And that's exactly where we are right now.
Okay, so we're in that sweet spot.
We are right there. It doesn't get any better. Everyone knows that we're coming out of a big correction. And I believe this event that's happening in Washington will trigger the biggest explosion in adoption that this asset class has ever seen. And again, you can wake up tomorrow morning, and I believe there's a very good chance you'll be reading about it. I was going to say in the papers, but nobody reads the papers anymore, or on your telephones. Friends, remember, this event will only happen one time. That means this could be your one and last chance to reach your freedom number, potentially as quickly as this year.
Now, folks, I just want to remind you that we are talking with the man who was voted the most trusted man in crypto by 130,000 independent analysts. And he's saying this could be your only shot to get the life you want. So this is something you should probably pay attention to. Now, in just a moment, Tika will discuss his top 6 coins that come with these payouts, and he'll even give you a free pick. It's a coin that's programmed to pay more than $1 billion this coming year. And of course, we also have our Q&A coming up a little bit later on in the broadcast. And by the way, I want to take a second to thank everyone who typed in their freedom number in that box. Tika is about to discuss the 6 coins that could help you reach that number. You know, Tika, everything that you showed us so far, it just sounds so incredible, but why are these coins programmed to pay us? That's the one thing that I still don't get. Why would they do that?
Okay, so this is the key question that you're asking, John, and I'm sure if you're asking it, folks at home are asking it. It's a great question. So why would they do that? It's simple. Anyone who has followed my work knows that I have always talked about adoption because it's adoption that drives value. If you build a highway and nobody uses it, it has no value, right?
Right.
But if a lot of people use it, it starts to having value. Businesses grow up around it, you can charge tolls on it, and value gets created. So the same thing happens in the blockchain. So friends, I want you to write this down. Crypto adoption, which basically means new people are coming into crypto. New people are using the highway, if you will. So here's why these coins are programmed to pay us. As you know, we had a horrible bear market in 2018. You remember that?
Well, yeah,
John?
they called it the crypto winter.
Right. It was a horror show. Many coins crashed, 70, 80, 90%. Nobody wanted anything to do with crypto during that year. But projects were still getting developed and they needed to get funded. So the developers of these special coins had this stroke of genius idea of offering payouts as an incentive for people to adopt, own, hold, and use their coins. Because they knew the more people they could incentivize to adopt the coin, the more valuable the project becomes.
So it's really all about adoption.
It's the key, John, adoption. If there's one thing everyone takes away from tonight, it's that adoption drives value. Now, I was very fortunate enough to learn that lesson very early on, and it transformed my financial life. I became rich because I realized that adoption was going to create massive value. And I helped thousands of other people achieve their dreams because I took what I had learned, and I said, okay, if this is correct, then these coins that are trading for pennies are going to be trading for dollars. And the coins that are trading for dollars are going to be trading for hundreds, sometimes thousands of dollars. And that's exactly what happened. So let's think about this idea of being incentivized through cashback. Well, you have a credit card, right?
That's right.
It offers you a cashback incentive every time you use the card.
That's right.
These coins are similar in that they offer you automatic payouts to incentivize adoption, except you just have to hold them. You don't have to spend money or even use them. That's the big difference. Now, this is where things get really exciting, and it's a very important part. So I want everyone at home to pay very special attention to what I'm about to say. With credit cards, the cash you receive back is fixed, right?
It's fixed.
Right. So if you use a credit card, you get 2% cash back, and that never changes.
Never changes.
Right. It's always going to be 2% no matter what. With these coins, since you're paid in more crypto, so as more people start to adopt the crypto price goes up and the payouts go up, and they can increase exponentially.
If you boil it down, if adoption goes up, I get paid more money.
A lot more money. So the growth of this income is linked directly to the crypto's adoption. And that's the key here. Friends, it's the whole enchilada to making huge gains with these coins. This is the secret sauce of how I've given my readers a chance to hit their freedom numbers, starting with as little as $1,000. I'm going to show you an example. There should be a chart coming up on your screen. John, take a look at this coin.
Okay.
At the time, it offered an annual payout of 11.57%. So that means you put $1,000 in, you're going to get about $115 a year. Now, look, 11%, that's pretty good. But 11% on $1,000, it's not going to change your life, right?
Yeah, no, I mean, look, I'd love to get 11%, but you're right. That's not a game changer.
It's not a game changer. So even though the initial payout was high, right, relative to traditional investments, it wasn't the greatest payout in the world, but I still recommended this coin to my readers. Why? Because we had just come out of a correction, and my research told me that adoption of the coin was going to boom. Now, why did we believe that? You see, this was a relatively new smart contract project that could do 4,500 transactions per second. At the time, that was about 3,000 times faster than Ethereum, the leading smart contract platform at the time. So we looked at that and we said, okay, this is a serious technological edge. And as the overall market starts to improve, we expected that adoption for this coin would go bananas. And again, what do I say about adoption and these payouts?
Well, you said that when adoption goes up, I get paid a lot more.
That's correct. So the payouts can increase exponentially. So let me show you how that actually worked in this example. I want you to take a look at what happened to adoption. This is the number of total projects that are using the coin. What do you see, John?
Well, it's booming. So that's usage. That's usage going up.
Right. And so it's key here because this is the sweet spot to what we do, right? It's our research. Can we find the coin and also find the coins that the rest of the world is going to adopt? And we have excelled at that since 2016. I would say unequivocally, we are the best in the world at doing that. So just like we had done before, you saw usage explode, just like I had expected, and the payouts, remember we say they go up exponentially.
Right.
They didn't double, they didn't triple. The payout went to 440%.
Okay, wait a minute, Tika. Is that the annual payout, 440% a year?
Yes, it's almost 40 times higher. So this is what I mean by exponential growth.
My head is spinning. All right, I got to take a step back here. I'm trying to wrap my head around this. You're saying that had I invested $1,000, my initial payout would have been $115. But because usage went up, oh man, my payouts would have ballooned to $4,400 a year. Did I get that right?
That's exactly right, John. And here's the best part. I didn't even mention the capital gains yet. Take a look at this chart. So on top of automatically getting paid all this extra income, you could have turned that $1,000 investment into as much as $46,000 in capital gains.
You know, we're throwing these numbers around here. There's all these commas, but it's hard to believe, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, Tika, look, if I told my friends, look, there's an investment that can pay you an annual yield of 440% on top of capital gains, I'd never see them again.
Yeah, and you honestly can't blame people for being skeptical. In the entire history of financial markets, there's never been an asset like this. There's never been an opportunity like this. So here's another crazy one. Take a look at this for an example. It was offering a payout. At the time we recommended it, it was paying 8% a year. Again, that's great compared to most stock dividends, but it's not going to change your life, right?
Right. It's not a game changer, but let me guess. It didn't stay at 8%, did it?
No, it didn't. Check this out. Again, our research suggested that usage was going to explode because this particular project was getting involved in the NFT market, and we were right.
Yeah, well, I can see that the number of active users skyrocketed. So I'm curious, what happened to the 8%?
Okay, so let me put this in dollar terms for you. I make a recommendation. You say, okay, this makes sense. I'm going to put $1,000 into it. It's making 8%. You make $80 a year. So again, what are you going to do with $80, right? And you live in California. Maybe you can buy a pack of gum, right? Maybe,
but it's imported.
right, right.
It's nothing.
Right. So, but what happens to these payouts? Because we were right on the usage piece of our research, the payout jumped 2,954%.
I'm sorry, it just can't be right. It's got to be a typo.
Well, look, John, at the time, let me be clear, this became one of the most successful blockchain projects. So it's not a typo. As usage exploded higher, the payout jumped from $80 a year to almost $30,000 a year. That's like getting a monthly paycheck for $2,500 a month, month after month after month on a $1,000 investment. So that's how crazy these things can get if you get them right and you get into them at the right time.
It's absolutely mind-blowing. And that's just the payouts. What about the capital gains?
Well, take a look. You know, when you're getting paid all this money, while you were getting paid all this money, you'd have watched this coin just explode higher.
So aside from getting that $2,500 monthly income, my $1,000 could have turned into almost $430,000.
Yeah, I'm smiling because people at home are probably like, okay, that's it. I've heard enough.
Yeah.
Quit.
Yeah.
Right, but again, when you get in after a sell-off, but you get in before adoption increases, and the key thing is you have access to the right research, right? You got to find the right coin. That's the special sauce.
Yeah.
Right? You got to find the right coin. But when you do that, you put yourself in the position to get your freedom.
Yeah.
To get a freedom number.
Yeah,
right there.
That's another freedom number right there. It's just incredible. You know, it's interesting too, because the other day I read that 6 in 10 baby boomers don't have enough money to retire. It sounds like millions of Americans will never reach their freedom number. That is just horrible. So how come more people don't know about this secret? I mean, this could really help out a lot of people.
Well, like I mentioned before, less than 1% of cryptos offer these types of payouts. So most Americans don't know about them. In fact, most, let's call them air quote experts, don't know about them. The media is completely clueless about them. But you know who has been buying these coins hand over fist?
Ooh, this is going to be good. Who?
The smartest venture capitalists in the world. I'm talking about people like billionaire Mark Andreessen.
Yeah, I think we've talked about him before. He's the venture capitalist. He got into Facebook, Twitter, Airbnb, Coinbase before they went public.
Yeah, he's arguably the world's greatest technology venture capitalist.
And he's buying the same coin that you recommended to your readers?
Well, here's the thing, not to break my own arm, patting myself on the back too much, John, but my readers had a chance to get into this coin even before Andreessen did. Shortly after I recommended it to my readers, his fund led a funding round where they invested $314 million into the project. And he's not alone. Another billionaire, Mike Novogratz, even launched an entire fund. And the sole purpose of that fund was to invest 100% of his money into this coin, all because of these payouts.
100%. That's wild.
Right. And that last coin I mentioned is just one opportunity my team and I are tracking right now. There's another coin that I'm really pumped about. What I like about this other project is that it's making blockchain transactions cheaper and faster. And no wonder adoption took off recently. Take a look. John, by now you should know what that means for the automatic payouts.
Well, they went way up.
Right, that might be the understatement of the year, my friend. They went past the moon, took a visit to Mars, and just kept going. I mean, take a look. This coin started paying 53%, which was crazy, right? When we recommended it, it was giving a 50% annual yield. I mean, you can't get that anywhere.
Anywhere.
Right. So this already was beating any kind of income you could get from dividends, bonds, real estate, anything. But watch what happens as more and more people started using this coin. The payout shot up to 12,012%. So what does that mean in numbers? It means had you put just $1,000 in this coin, your payout would have been $120,000 a year. That's the equivalent of getting an extra $10,000 paycheck every single month for a year.
It's just $10,000 a month. I mean, let's be honest, okay? Most people don't even make that kind of income working 9 to 5 every day.
John, there's no other investment in the history of financial markets that can match that type of return. And remember, that doesn't even include the capital gain. Take a look at this other chart, because besides getting that up to $10,000 every month, you could have turned that $1,000 into almost, and I cringe at saying this because people aren't going to believe it, but this is all verified on my track record, $860,000.
Fill in the blank. That is just
insane.
It's insane. And we've said that word quite a few times today. But it is insane for anyone to get paid $10,000 a month to make $860,000. I mean, $860,000, well, there you go. It's another freedom number.
It's another freedom number. And again, let me be clear. I can't guarantee that these next 6 coins are going to do that. But what I can tell you is that you can't make these gains if you're just investing in these coins randomly. Even for crypto, these types of gains are not normal. So friends, it's very important that you understand that. It's not like you can just roll up to the crypto market and make these types of gains. These gains only come about under a very specific set of circumstances. It's only possible if you buy these coins when they're trading in their sweet spot, after a big sell-off, before adoption explodes. And even then, let me be very clear. How's about this for truth in advertising? I can't guarantee results. I've told you this before, but let me say it again. I cannot guarantee that you'll make this kind of money with my top 6 coins I'll discuss here tonight. Even though my readers already had a chance to make that kind of money, it's important that you know I can't guarantee results. No one can. What I'm saying is that buying these coins that have these automatic payouts after a correction and right before a jump in adoption is the only strategy I know of that gives you a chance to buy your freedom from such a small initial investment. And friends, the truly tragic part is because this is so new, it's such a mind-bending idea, and because these potential gains sound so outlandish, most people will tell themselves, no, too good to be true, don't believe it, and they're going to completely dismiss the idea. And the reason why I say it's sad is because Silicon Valley, some of the smartest money men in the world, they're all over this, and they're going to make billions from this. I'm talking about some of the smartest investors on the planet. The venture capitalists who finance virtually all tech breakthroughs in America are all over these coins. John, I'm sure you've heard of Sequoia Capital being from California.
Yeah, they're an investment firm.
Right, they're one of the world's oldest and most successful venture capital firms. They invested early in companies like Google, YouTube, Apple, PayPal, Instagram, Zoom. Get this. They've already raised more than $400 million to invest in this coin that I just told you about.
Wait, $400 million for just one coin?
Just one coin.
Wow.
Billionaire Mark Cuban has made a massive investment in this coin. Look, I believe these big players are going all in because they're not stupid. They know what's coming. The biggest wealth creation event in the history of cryptos, if not the history of all financial assets. It's going to be an event that people look back on and they're going to say, how could I not see that? If only we knew what that event was going to do to these crypto payouts, we could have done something about it. We could have positioned ourselves for it. Friends, I'm here to tell you tonight that you can do something about it. You can position yourself ahead of it. Friends, hear me when I tell you, if you miss this chance, there won't be a second one, because this event is only going to happen for the first time, one time. That means this could be your only chance to reach your freedom number this year.
Well, I know in just a moment you're going to give away the name of your free recommendation, but the suspense is killing me. What exactly is happening? What's this government event? And why do you believe it's going to trigger a buying frenzy in these income coins?
Now, I'm sure you've heard that the SEC just approved a Bitcoin ETF, and that will expose Bitcoin to trillions and trillions of dollars from brokerage accounts and pension funds. But John, what do you think that will do to the broader crypto market?
Boom. Huge. It's going to trigger a huge boom.
A boom bigger than anything we've ever seen before. I'm going to go on record and say that I believe this will be the biggest bull market in crypto ever, and perhaps the biggest bull market in any financial asset in the history of humankind. They'll be writing about this boom for a century. Bitcoin, Ethereum, and many cryptos already started to rally in late 2023 in anticipation for this major event. But what we're about to see is the institutionalization of this asset class in a way and at a level that we've never, ever seen before.
And do you really believe that we could see trillions of dollars coming into this space?
Oh, there's no question in my mind. There are potentially trillions of dollars just waiting for this single ETF. You see, most institutional investors with big pockets like pension funds, endowment funds, and mutual funds, well, they can't invest directly in crypto and they can't hold crypto. They're not allowed to buy crypto because of their investment mandates. They can only invest in things that are regulated as a security.
And now that they have approved an ETF, the floodgates will open. They'll finally be able to invest in crypto.
The floodgates will open because there's huge pent-up demand.
Yeah.
That's why I had to be here tonight, John. Once that buying frenzy begins, it could be next to impossible to get in and see the kinds of gains that I've mentioned here today. And your opportunity to reach your freedom number from a handful of tiny investments, well, do you think it's still going to be here once all of Wall Street's here?
Yeah, but Tika, didn't you say earlier that this Bitcoin approval was just one piece of the puzzle? I think you said that most people don't have the full story. So what are we missing?
This Bitcoin ETF approval is very important, but it's not the full story. The much bigger story that people will not wake up to is what happens after this first ETF approval. I believe that the first ETF will launch an entirely new crypto ETF industry. John, just think about what happened with equity ETFs. The very first equity ETF in America was launched in 1993. It was the S&P ETF. And by the way, that ETF, which was for the S&P, took 7 years to get approved. Right? That's the ETF that tracks the S&P 500 index. It was the first US ETF to be listed on a national American stock exchange. From the moment that launched, billions flowed into that ETF. Take a look at the explosion of assets under management.
Yeah. That went only one way, didn't it? It went up.
Exactly. So when you have to understand that Wall Street is just a fee-generating machine. So when Wall Street saw the huge success of that product, what did they do? They started launching every different type of ETF you can imagine. ETF on different strategies, different sectors, commodity ETFs, a gold ETF, income ETFs that pay dividends, thousands of different ETFs. I believe that we are about to see the same thing happen in the crypto market.
Interesting. So what you're saying is that the Bitcoin ETF, that's just the beginning. I mean, in the coming years, we're going to see many other crypto ETFs.
Not in the coming years. It's already happening, John. BlackRock already filed for an Ethereum ETF. And if you look at their history with the SEC, they've applied for ETFs hundreds of times in the past. Do you know what their success rate is? 99.8%.
Wow.
That tells me they're not going to spend the time, money, resources filing for a fund if they're not almost 100% sure it will get approved. That's why billionaire Mike Novogratz said, and I quote, 2024 literally is going to be a year of institutional adoption, primarily first through a Bitcoin ETF, which will be followed by an Ethereum ETF.
I had no idea. I had no idea that an Ethereum ETF was already in the works.
Yeah, but this is just the beginning. I believe that the Bitcoin and Ethereum ETFs, well, they're going to be wildly successful because of all the pent-up demand. After that success, Wall Street will begin pumping out several different types of crypto ETFs, starting with income crypto ETFs, focusing exclusively on coins that come with these automatic payouts. I mean, like you said earlier, millions of Americans are struggling with retirement. There's so much demand for reliable income out there. Wall Street already has 168 dividend ETFs with more than 380 billion in assets under management. So I believe they're going to replicate that, but with crypto income.
So this is the demand spike that you've been talking about, the explosion in adoption. It's here.
Exactly. And no one is talking about it and no one is thinking about it. Soon, I believe they're going to launch an income crypto ETF with the same type of coins that I'm recommending today. And everyone here tonight will have a chance to buy these coins before the tsunami of money comes into the space. John, right now there's a total of 113 trillion in assets under management around the world in equity and equity-linked products. 113 trillion that's been locked away and prohibited from going into crypto. Think about this. Bitcoin is the 9th largest financial asset in the world and did that without a dollar of Wall Street money.
Really? That's amazing.
It's amazing. These ETFs will unlock all those trillions of dollars. What do you think is going to happen to crypto usage and crypto adoption when that takes place?
Well, it's got to go up. That's the only logical conclusion.
It's the only thing that can happen. You don't need to have a PhD from a rocket scientist from Caltech to figure out what happens when $113 trillion becomes available to buy this asset. You will see an explosion in adoption like we have never seen before. You will see more money made over the next 2 years than you have ever seen made from any financial asset in the history of financial assets. That's my prediction. Because what happens when this adoption goes up?
Payouts go up.
They go up and they go up exponentially. That's why the key here is you must buy these before the adoption goes through the roof, before these payouts balloon. Do you think that you can hit your freedom after $113 trillion has come in?
No.
No way.
No.
No way. Right now, these coins, it's like a little backwater market. It's tiny. It's a few $billion, right? It's a tiny subsector of the entire market. When it's a $5 trillion or a 10 or a $15 trillion market, that ability to take a handful of $1,000 investments and change your life, it's gone.
Gone.
It's gone. Let's take one last look at this coin that I mentioned earlier. There should be a chart coming up. When I first recommended it to my readers, it was offering payouts of 14.3% a year. At the time, our research suggested that usage was going to go higher. We were right. So the payouts didn't stay at 14%. They jumped as high as 7,821%. That's 78 times your money just on the payout. You put $1,000 in the coin, you make $78,000 a year. You break that down month by month, you're looking at an extra $6,500 per month.
Yeah, where else are you going to find this? Now, we've talked about this one before. On top of that, if you look at just capital gains, your readers had a chance to turn $1,000 into more than $715,000, right?
Right, that's correct. Friends, I pride myself on speaking to you in a very clear way. I'm never going to BS you or waste your time or insult your intelligence. So let me continue in that vein. To take $1,000 and turn it into $6,500 a month and then $715,000 in capital gains is nuts. So if you're thinking, this is nuts. If you're thinking this is crazy, it's not normal, I agree with you. It's not normal. I'll tell you right now, it should not be possible for you to reach your freedom number with $1,000. But when you get into these coins right after a correction, when they're super cheap, like they are now, and when you have a once-in-a-lifetime event, like the launch of an entirely new crypto industry that can open the doors to $113 trillion for the first time ever in the history of the asset class, that's when magic happens. That's when all bets are off. That's when these impossible things of getting your freedom in 2024 from a handful of $1,000 investments, that's when it becomes possible. It's like being able to walk on the moon without a spacesuit. It shouldn't be allowed to happen. It defies all natural laws, but it already happened to my readers. They have already had a chance to reach their freedom number, starting with a handful of $1,000 investments. And I believe that right now, today, you have a second chance. So John, imagine that you've got 20,000, 40,000, 60,000 a year coming in year after year after year in payouts. You know, what does that do to your life? What does that do with your experience of life? How does that change how you deal with inflation? How does it change your retirement plans? How does it change the conversations with your spouse, with your children, with your community, with your giving, the conversations, the interactions that you have with everything that goes on in your life?
Everything. Tika, everything changes. You get a new life.
You get a new life. Your whole life changes. And I want you to think about this, right? What if you're able to give those payouts to your kids? Think about how that changes their life, that they can inherit that. How does that change the lives of your grandchildren? That's why I keep saying, if you can get in on the ground floor of a coin that has these automatic payouts before adoption goes insane, your family's potentially set for life. You have the opportunity to get paid up to $6,500 a month, month after month after month. But that's only possible if you get in now, today, before the floodgates are open, before we see usage spike to levels we've never, ever seen before.
Which makes today the sweet spot.
Today is the sweet spot. The stars are aligned right now, and I believe we will never see a situation so extremely favorable for the average everyday investor that we are seeing right now. That's why I already picked my 6 top coins. These are the coins I believe will have the biggest payouts in the coming months and years. I put everything you need to know in a brand new research report that's called Tika's Top 6 Income Coins for 2024. And I'm making this report available to everyone tonight. Friends, I want you to remember this. Less than 1% of all crypto projects out there offer these automatic payouts. So there's very little trusted information about these 6 coins online. Most people don't even know they exist. So this guide will tell you everything you need to know, including the names of each coin, the full write-up on each of these coins, and I tell you why I believe they could set you up for life. I walk you through step by step how to buy them, how to store them, how to start collecting your payouts. And once you read that report, I recommend you buy all those coins tonight, immediately. Don't wait till tomorrow. John, like I said earlier, this new crypto ETF industry, it opens the door to $113 trillion in capital. Let's just say 1% flows into these income coins that I'm recommending. And I think it'll be a lot more than that. But let's just say 1%, nothing crazy. That would be enough to buy out all of these 6 coins that I'm recommending.
Whoa, all of them?
Every single one of them. Not once, John, not twice, but just that 1% would be enough to buy all of these coins more than 3 times over. And I believe as soon as they open the doors to these ETFs, that's exactly what's going to happen. They're going to buy them all. For example, some of the smartest billionaires on the planet are all over one of the coins I'm recommending. Elon Musk is personally investing in this project. And so are the Winklevoss twins, who were among the first Bitcoin billionaires. Mark Cuban has put at least $7.5 million in the specific coin that has these automatic payouts. Now, I put all the details of this coin and all the other 5 coins inside this special report. Friends, let me clarify. Whether you end up following my work or doing your own homework and doing your own thing by yourself, that's absolutely fine. That's your decision to make. What I care about is that you don't get left behind. What I care about is that you take action. And if you are going to do your own work and do this yourself, you need to take action tonight because it could be too late by tomorrow morning.
Folks, you heard Tika. The time to act is right now. This report is ready to go. We're ready to start sending it out immediately, but this report is only available to crypto income readers. So tonight, we're opening the doors to Tika's only research service that focuses on these coins that come with these automatic payouts. And here's how it works. Every month, Tika and his team will send you a new issue with a new recommendation, each designed to pay you month after month after month. And you can get started today with Tika's top 6 income coins for 2024. And when you join Palm Beach Crypto Income, you'll not only get access to this brand new report, but you'll also get access to educational videos, the Crypto Income Manifesto, Tika's model portfolio, and ongoing buy and sell alerts from the man voted as the most trusted man in crypto. Now look, because of all these benefits, this service is not cheap. The retail price for 1 year is $4,000. And I know, it sounds like a lot of money, but when you consider that just one of Tika's picks already gave his readers a chance to get paid $6,500 month after month after month, well, that listed price is a no-brainer. But I got good news for you. Because adoption is about to explode, sending payouts skyrocketing, well, we just don't want the subscription price to be an issue. So we're temporarily lowering the price all the way down to $2,000. That means the payouts of just one of these coins could easily pay for that subscription many times over. Right now, there should be a button that says Join Now. I want you to go ahead, click on that button. It's going to take you to a separate page where you can see all the details of this offer one last time before you join. Inside your special report, you'll find out all the details on Tika's top 6 coins that have these automatic payouts. That means when you join right now, you'll also get Tika's free pick before he releases it to everyone else here tonight. Click on that button to get started because, as Tika showed us today, the key here is to get into these coins before adoption goes up. Get the name of Tika's top 6 coins that are pre-programmed to pay you. You'll also be protected by Tika's 90-day satisfaction guarantee, and here's how that works. If you're not 100% happy and you contact us within the first 90 days, you'll get a full credit refund, good for any product we or our partners publish. You know, Tika, everything that you said today, it sounds amazing. It sounds like an opportunity of a lifetime. But as you know, most folks, they're busy, right? They have soccer games they got to get to. They got things they got to do. What if someone needs a little bit of time to think about this?
I wish I could say that you can take your time. I hate it when somebody says to me, oh, you've got to make a decision right now. But we have to look at the facts, right? It would be irresponsible for me to say, oh, you can take your time and just think about it and just sit and wait. Because that's just not true. We don't have time to wait. So let me show you what happens if you wait until after adoption comes. Let's say someone's at home says, all right, Tawari, I was very skeptical, but this actually sounds really good. But I'm super busy right now. I've got stuff I've got to do tonight. Let me think about it. I'll get to this tomorrow morning. You decide to wait. Tomorrow morning, the news comes out. These ETFs have been approved. Everybody wakes up and realizes, well, if they approved a Bitcoin ETF, well, then they're going to approve an Ethereum ETF. If they approve Ethereum ETF, then they're going to start going after the crypto income ETFs because everybody wants income, and those coins could double like that. So let's take another look at actually examples that I've been involved with in the past, right? So we can kind of do an apples to apples comparison. So let's just take a look at this one. Starting with just $1,000, my readers had a chance to collect a little over $5,000 in payouts because they got in before the usage exploded. Now, let's say you waited. You waited until after you saw the proof of the usage happens. Well, if you wait for the proof of usage, all the profit is gone because instead of making $5,000 in payouts, you now make $45.
$45. You lose almost everything.
Almost everything. That's why tonight I said this again and again and again. if you want to hit your freedom number and you want to do it with just a handful of $1,000 investments, look, if you've got millions of dollars, sure, wait. You know what I mean? You've got millions of dollars. But if you only have, if you have a more modest net worth and you're looking for an opportunity to potentially take a handful of $1,000 investments and have them give you the freedom that you want, you have no other choice. You have to get into the coins before adoption explodes. That's the key here. Check out this other coin I mentioned. My readers had a chance to get a payout of $9,000 on a $1,000 investment. Why? Because they got in early. But watch what happens to that payout if you waited. It drops from $9,000 to $55.
I know you said this many times, that the key here is to get in before usage explodes. And I'm starting to understand the consequences of waiting. I mean, it is shocking how much these payments decrease if you wait.
Right, look at this other coin I showed earlier. Remember, our readers had a chance to collect about $30,000 in annual payouts. That's on a $1,000 investment. Again, how were they able to do that? They could only do it because they got in before usage exploded. That's it. Now look what happened if they waited and said, no, I want to see the usage first. Well, then you're not going to make $30,000. In this instance, you would have made $70. You imagine going home to your wife and you say, well, honey, I had a chance to make $30,000, but I got $70 instead.
It's brutal. It's so expensive to wait.
Right.
I think I'd be so embarrassed I wouldn't even tell anybody.
Right. That's right. If you're making an extra $30,000 a year from a $1,000 investment, I'll tell you what, that moves the needle on your financial life, right? That fills in so many different financial cracks that happen during the course of a year. Car breaks down, maybe one of your kids need a little bit of extra money, a surprise tax bill comes in. It just smooths over just the vagaries of life that can really throw you for a loop. But an extra $70, I mean, what is that? That's like 3 pizzas and maybe a 6-pack of soda, right? So you're truly leaving tens of thousands of dollars on the table year after year after year. And when you wait, what you're essentially telling your future self is that reaching your freedom number, it's not really that important, right? It might not feel like it, but when you wait, you're saying no to freedom.
And I wonder what your future self would say back.
Right.
Like, why didn't you? Why didn't you? It's really a great way of putting it. I mean, when you wait, you're saying no to freedom. But what if someone is new to crypto? I mean, would they be able to buy these cryptos that you're recommending?
Yeah, this is a fantastic question. I think you briefly mentioned this, John, but I've prepared a video course that walks absolute newbies through everything and makes it super easy so you can get started right away. And I'm very confident this course can help anyone get started because most of my readers didn't know anything about crypto when they found my research. This Crypto Master course was designed to teach you how to set up an account, how to buy crypto, how to store it, how to collect the payouts. Like I briefly mentioned before, I've met many of our subscribers in conferences, and I can tell you that thanks to this course, we've been able to help grandparents, stay-at-home parents, farmers, grade school teachers, everyday people from all different types of background, and none of it had to do with a technical background. We've helped them get started. Now, again, I want to be very clear. We're not just going to give you a report, give you a pat on the shoulder and wish you good luck. That's just not the way that we work here.
Just fantastic. Just good stuff right there. Folks, just a reminder that Tika Crypto Master course will be yours completely free of charge once you join Tika. So click on the button to get started and do it right now because you are facing a fork in the road right now, whether you like it or not. Right now, you have a decision to make, and it could be your most important decision of the year. Think about this. By the end of the year, talk about your future self. By the end of the year, you could be well on your way to reaching your financial freedom number. Or you could be in the same place you're in today. That decision is yours and yours alone to make. When Tika first launched Palm Beach Crypto Income, he didn't have a track record. Think about that. His first subscribers had to take a huge leap of faith on this idea of automatic crypto payouts. Today, you don't have to take a leap of faith because Tika now has results. He has data. We've talked about his track record today. We talked about how his readers already had a chance to turn $1,000 into $715,000 while getting paid month after month after month. These numbers, and I've said it before, I'll say it again, these are not made up. They are coming straight from Tika's track record. I know, it's mind-blowing. And Tika, that can't be just luck.
Look, if I only had a handful of winners, 2, 3, 4, 5, over, let's say, a 1 or 2 year period, you can put that down to luck. But we've been able to offer these types of life-changing gains again and again and again. Bull markets, bear markets, sideways markets. For example, after the big crash in 2015, anyone who invested $1,000 into each of my recommendations would have a portfolio worth $2.4 million at its peak. Then after the last crypto winter in 2018, I made a series of new recommendations. This time, anyone who invested $1,000 into each of those recommendations would have been sitting on a crypto portfolio that at its peak was valued at $1.4 million. That can't happen by accident.
No, you can't pick things at random and have that type of success. So here's the question. Everybody wants to know, hey, what's your secret?
Yeah, I've talked about this all through the night, right? It's research, it's hard work, it's getting on planes, it's going out, it's talking to the teams, it's going through the code. Over the last 7 years, my group of researchers have built just a network of resources that very few people in this space have. We've got hedge fund level research that I believe is the very best in the space. Our team has the ability to analyze adoption, valuation, all the blockchain analytics that are really complex for a novice to understand. So we are very, very good at finding the projects that actually do see an explosion in usage. And we've done it again and again and again every year for more than 7 years now. So aside from our team, and I just talked about this a little bit, I have an incredible network in the crypto space. I've met with bankers all over the world, billionaires, venture capitalists in Silicon Valley, crypto developers like Ethereum founder Vitalik Buterin. John, remember that famous line from the 1987 Wall Street movie when Gordon Gekko said something like, you're either on the inside or the outside?
Outside, yeah, classic, I remember.
But when it comes to the crypto market, most people are on the outside. They're getting their news second, third, fourth, or fifth hand. Most people don't get invited to the private events where they get a chance to talk to the biggest names in crypto, like billionaire Mike Novogratz, the man Bloomberg calls the king of Bitcoin. But I get these invites. Most people don't get to hang out with crypto VCs behind closed doors or meet with crypto founders like Cardano creator Charles Hoskinson. But I do. Most people don't get into private jets to meet with the bankers who are pouring billions into this crypto space. But I get those invites. So having that kind of access really gives my readers an informational edge in this market that other people don't get to enjoy. And that's exactly how we've been able to help our readers get into the most dynamic and profitable crypto projects, sometimes even before major players in Silicon Valley. We mentioned earlier how my readers got into a coin before Mark Andreessen put $300 million into it, right? And he's arguably the best tech VC in the world. So that doesn't happen by accident.
No, that doesn't happen by accident. Folks, I'm going to grab an iPad here from my producer. Thank you very much, Jim. Appreciate that. Because we're about to get started with our Q&A, and Tika's about to give away the name of one of these coins. We're all waiting on that. So click on the button now to get started, and you're going to be able to get the name of that coin before he reveals it to everyone here in just a moment. All right, Tika, you ready to do this?
I'm ready to do this.
We have some good questions. These are really good questions.
All right.
All right. What we're going to do here is we're going to answer these questions, and then you can give away the name of that coin that's set to pay out over $1 billion this coming year. Does that sound good?
Let's do it, John.
Okay. All right, here's the first question. You mentioned that the SEC could approve a handful of ETF applications, not just BlackRock's. So what makes you say that?
Well, late last year, the SEC delayed its decision on a couple of those applications. There's a very important reason why I believe the SEC did that, and I believe they did that to line up every applicant for a potential approval so they wouldn't be giving one company a competitional edge over over everybody else. Like I said earlier, right now the SEC's reviewing a total of over 12 applications. And for the past few months, many of these firms have been amending their applications. This tells me the SEC is actively engaging with them behind the scenes, saying, hey, if you want to get this approved, you need to add this to your application. In the past, the SEC just ignored these applications, rejected them without any back and forth.
Interesting.
But we're seeing these amendments now, and that's a really good sign that an approval is imminent. So I believe they're going to approve a handful of these all at once because they don't want to give somebody a first mover advantage, rather. So, for example, if they approve only the BlackRock ETF, well, the SEC could get sued for that, right? The other applicants could say, look, we're going to sue you. They already got sued by Grayscale and the SEC lost. So I don't think they want to deal with the courts anymore.
So if you're right about this, about a handful of ETFs getting approved at the same time, that's better for crypto, right? I mean, that's good news.
Oh, it's phenomenal news for crypto. The floodgates of real institutional capital will finally open, which has never been true. Bitcoin's 15 years old, and I mentioned this earlier. It's the 9th most valuable asset in the world without the help of Wall Street. Without the help of Wall Street. John, what do you think is going to happen when the whole of crypto is open to $113 trillion that's on the other side of the door of this studio with ETFs?
Everything changes.
Everything changes. All you do is open that door and the money will flow in like a tidal wave. We'll be swimming in cash. The approval of ETFs opens that door. And after that, I believe the crypto market will never, ever be the same again because adoption will skyrocket at a level we've never seen before. And here's why that's a big deal. There's something called the network effect that's incredibly important for technology, including blockchain. It's simple, but it's a very simple idea. It means that the higher number of people using the technology, the higher the value. Remember, I talked about having a highway, right?
Right.
The more people use it, the more valuable it is.
That's right.
We saw the same thing happen with Facebook. When the number of users went from 100 million to 2.9 billion, the value of the company went from $15 billion to $800 billion. The same network effect happens with crypto. That's why I believe everyone who gets positioned now, before adoption explodes, everyone who gets into these coins that I'm recommending, before trillions comes into the space, will have a chance, in my opinion, to make truly life-changing money.
That is so exciting. Bitcoin is 15 years old?
15 years old.
How did that happen? All right, here's your next question. And I can see, by the way, how getting ahead of all this money could be very profitable. It just changes everything. It makes a lot of sense. And by the way, folks, you heard Tika. Go ahead and click on that button to get started, or you're going to get left behind. Here we go. Tika, I'm already a subscriber to Palm Beach Confidential and Palm Beach Crypto Trader. How is Palm Beach Crypto Income different from these other services?
Well, they're very different. Palm Beach Confidential is my flagship cryptocurrency newsletter. And in that newsletter, I focus on early stage projects that I think can grow into multi-billion-dollar massive projects. So when you're doing research for those types of projects, it's very different from the research for cryptos that have payouts. Friends, it's critically important that you understand that there are two very different services. We don't talk about crypto income in Palm Beach Confidential. Now, Crypto Trader is also completely different because we use a very short-term strategy where we try to take our profits in 60 days or less. We have a patent-pending AI that helps us narrow down those trades. We also have Palm Beach Pioneer, where we focus exclusively on this subset of cryptos that are developing the next iteration of the internet. So each of those services have their own strategy and model portfolio.
You know, tonight we have talked a lot about newbies, people that might be interested, they're new to crypto, probably need to get moving anyway, quickly. But they might be sitting back going, I like this, resonates, but he says ETF. I'm not sure what that is. Can you open that up a little bit?
Yeah, and I got to apologize to everybody at home. You know, I've been in finance pretty much my whole life, and sometimes I make this mistake of thinking everybody knows what all these different terms mean. So an ETF stands for Exchange Traded Fund, and it's very similar to a mutual fund. So, you know, in the old days, if you wanted to get exposure to the S&P 500, you'd buy a mutual fund, and you'd put money in the mutual fund, and that would give you exposure to the S&P 500. But the problem with mutual funds was they had very high fees, and they weren't liquid. You couldn't trade them during the day. You basically got whatever the price was at the end of the evening was how they would price them. An ETF is like a mutual fund, but it trades like a stock. So when you buy an ETF, let's say the SPY, which is the S&P 500 ETF, it's like you're owning a small piece of each of the stocks in the S&P 500, and you can trade them the way that you can trade a stock. You can buy and sell it at any point of time during the day, options trade on them, you can sell them short, you can go long, you can margin against them. So they trade very much like a stock, and the fees are much lower than what you would get charged on a mutual fund. So a Bitcoin ETF is almost like a mutual fund that trades, that will allow anybody with a brokerage account to go into their brokerage account and buy and sell Bitcoin with a simple click of the mouse, which they can't do now. Now, if you want to buy Bitcoin, you have to go to a Bitcoin exchange, you have to exchange your money, you get Bitcoin coins, you either keep the coins on the exchange or you take possession of your coins. And most people don't want to do that, and institutions can't do that. And so with this ETF format, this exchange traded fund format that is essentially like a mutual fund, it allows institutions to buy, sell, and hold Bitcoin in a way that is compliant under their investment charters. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that was well said. You know, you offer a number of services, and they're very, very successful services. The one we're talking about tonight, of course, is Crypto Income, which focuses on these income-producing coins. Would you say that that's a perfect complement to your other services?
Yeah, I do. I would never want to build services that were redundant. So if you're already a member of one of my other crypto services, I strongly urge you to get involved in Palm Beach Crypto Income, because time to time there might be a little overlap with a coin here or there, but for the most part, everything we're talking about in Palm Beach Crypto Income will be very, very different from what we talk about in my other crypto newsletters. You know, John, the first time I saw these crypto payouts, I thought, my goodness, this type of investment that pays you month after month on top of capital gains, it could be transformational. And so that's why we decided to dedicate an entire service focused 100% on these coins. And the analysts that we have in Crypto Income, all they do is focus on crypto income. They don't focus on anything else.
Well, I'm so glad, because it's clearly having a major impact on people's lives.
Yeah, and this, at the end of the day, John, you know, when you've achieved a level of financial success, which I have, you got to find something else that drives you, right? It just can't be about adding more zeros to the bank account.
Right.
So, you know, I don't know how many people know this, but I came from very modest backgrounds, right? You know, I grew up in foster care, and I had blue collar jobs most of my life until I got to Wall Street. So giving everyday folks the chance to reach their freedom number, just like I was able to reach mine, you know, it's very uplifting for me. You know, like I said, you know, I grew up in the foster care system. I had nothing. From the age of 8, I was in and out of foster care. So growing up, personally, I always had this huge gap between the life that I wanted or fantasized about and the life that I actually had. And it was a massive gap. And that's what drove me to came here to America, to the US. I worked on Wall Street for 15 years. I made a lot of money. But the shock for me was that the money, it closed that material gap, but it didn't close the emotional gap. It didn't bring me the level of happiness that I thought that it would, you know, when I was a teenager, just getting started on Wall Street. I realized that Wall Street was extracting value from the world. So I wasn't adding any value. I was a part of a system that was actually widening the wealth gap between the haves and the have-nots. And that, when that hit me, I realized Wall Street wasn't really helping anyone reach their freedom number. The bankers were all getting rich at the expense of their clients. And so again, I came from a very blue-collar background where I started out working in kitchens, loading trucks, mopping floors, taking out garbage, right? So coming from that background, when I realized I was actually part of a larger problem, I had to leave. And so I did, and I joined the newsletter industry. And what I wanted to do was help everyday folks like me, people that were willing to work hard, be focused, and do the work. I know what it's like to live a life that's been forced upon you by your circumstances. It is an awful feeling. And, money, it's not like money's the great, money doesn't change everything, but it changes a lot.
Uh-huh.
It changes a lot. So I wanted to help people have a legitimate shot at getting the life they want, not the life that had been forced upon them. And I believe the opportunity we have today with these crypto payouts is the fastest, lowest risk way I know of reaching your freedom number. It's the fastest, lowest risk way I know of moving the needle on your financial life, on your children's financial life, but doing it in a way that doesn't put your current financial life at risk.
Gosh, that's awesome stuff, Tika. I've heard your story quite a few times, but it never gets old. I always get something out of it when you tell that story. It's inspiring. Okay, let's move on because we have a lot more questions to cover, and here's another one. Tika, why would Wall Street launch crypto ETFs? I mean, wouldn't that be a threat to their stock market business?
No, it's the exact opposite. Right now, the average fee on an equity, that means a stock ETF, an exchange-traded fund that invests in stocks, is about 16 basis points. That's 0.16%. That means for every $10,000 you invest, Wall Street will charge you $16. That's not a lot. With these crypto ETFs, I believe Wall Street will be able to charge fees that are 5 to 10 times higher. And they're going to have a brand new product they can sell that's never been available before. They're going to turn on their marketing machines, and they're going to push trillions of dollars of assets into these new crypto ETFs because they know that they're going to be able to charge massive fees. Remember what I said before? Wall Street is just really a fee-generating machine. That's what Wall Street has been created to do, is generate fees for itself to get fat at everybody else's expense.
Well, it only cares about money. That's what it does. That's their entire business model. So I can see how they're going to want to launch as many crypto funds as they possibly can. Okay, here's the next question. And this one is about these income coins. Tika, where are these payouts coming from? From the exchange? Isn't that risky? I mean, what if they all go bankrupt like BlockFi or FTX did?
Right. This is a good question. And I can see that people will get confused by this because some exchanges were offering payouts on coins that you kept with them. Here's what's critically important to understand. These payouts don't come from a centralized exchange or an individual, right? So they're not coming from Coinbase or Kraken or Gemini or any exchange. They come from the underlying coin itself. It's hardwired into the coin to pay you for holding it. This is a hugely important distinction, John. In our crypto course, we show our readers how to maintain control over their crypto coins, so they always have control over their funds and over the payouts that they receive, so they're not reliant on a centralized third party. Friends, if you follow our instructions, you will never, ever have that kind of counterparty risk because you will maintain control over your cryptos.
That was a great question, and that was an even better answer. Folks, remember, when you click on that button and you join Tika, you'll get immediate access to both the special report with Tika's top 6 coins, plus this crypto course completely free. All right, Tika, here's another question. Some people are predicting a stock market crash. Wouldn't that affect cryptos?
I'm laughing because, every year someone is predicting a crash. And, sometimes they're right, sometimes they're wrong. I don't pay too much attention to doom and gloom predictions. Think about this. We shut down the whole economy for 2 years. We had a global pandemic. Millions of people died. And the stock markets are breaking out to all-time new highs.
Yeah, gosh.
Right?
Gosh.
Capitalism finds a way.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Capitalism
It's like a weed.
finds a way.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. We lived through World War II, World War I, Vietnam, the Cuban Missile Crisis, which was the closest we've ever got to nuclear war. And capitalism keeps marching on. Friends, hear me when I tell you, turn off all the distractions you're hearing from the media. Right now, the stars are aligned in a way that they have never been aligned before. I don't care what happens in the stock market because the stars are aligned in the crypto market. We're just coming out of a brutal 2-year correction. So a lot of these income coins are dirt cheap. On top of that, a host of new crypto exchange traded funds get approved. And for the first time ever, institutional investors that have access to trillions of dollars will be able to easily invest in crypto. In my opinion, take it for what it's worth, I don't think we'll ever see a more perfect scenario for higher crypto prices than right now. Because once all that money comes into the space, adoption will explode. And when adoption explodes, John,
The payouts, cha-ching, they go up exponentially.
exponentially, but only if you get in before the adoption stampede begins.
Yeah, makes all the sense in the world. All right, here's another question, and a few people, by the way, have asked this one. Does Bitcoin offer these payouts?
No, Bitcoin doesn't have that line of code that makes these automatic payouts. Like I mentioned before, the coins that offer those payouts are not ordinary coins. So most people don't even know they exist. That's why I put all the details of these coins inside the special report. For example, inside the report, you'll find the name and ticker of one of these income coins I'm super excited about. I believe a big portion of those trillions of dollars from institutional investors will flow into that particular coin. You see, one of the things that my team and I track is something called whale activity. Whales are just really big crypto investors. And right now, my team has identified very heavy whale activity in this coin. What does that mean? It means that big investors with deep pockets are already beginning to accumulate this coin. I believe they're doing that to get ahead of this ocean of money that's about to come into the space. And again, you'll find the name and my full analysis of this coin inside my special report.
And folks, I just want to point out, I want to remind you that the crypto market is not like the stock market. It doesn't close, it's open 24/7. And that means just a few moments from now, you could own this coin and all the 6 cryptos that Tika is recommending, and you'll start collecting those automatic payouts. So tap on that button to get started. All right, Tika, here's another one. Tika, you mentioned that it is possible to pass these payouts down to my children. Is that really true?
It's 100% true. And this is what's so amazing about this. You know, friends, imagine the decisions you make right now. Let's say you put together a portfolio of maybe 10, 15, perhaps 20 of these coins over time that have these automatic payouts. Let's just say 3 of them end up making the type of payments I shared here earlier today, up to $6,500 a month. That's a gift that you're giving to your children's children's children, all the way down your generational line. So yes, you'll be able to pass these payments down to your children if you so desire, leave them to charity, have multiple generations be able to benefit from this. This is the type of asset that when it gets large enough, you're going to be able to put in a trust. And that trust is going to be able to take care of your entire generational line for decades past your own death, or again, to the charity of your choice. And that'll continue in perpetuity.
But folks, remember, that's only possible if you get in now before adoption explodes higher. Like we mentioned before, Tika's readers already had a chance to turn $1,000 into as much as $42,000, $55,000, even $715,000, which is just unreal. And on top of that, they had the chance to get paid month after month after month, up to $6,500 a month. Never seen anything like this before. Now, folks, remember that Tika said this as well. We can't guarantee that you'll see those same types of gains. We all know that investment carries some level of risk and that cryptos can be very volatile. With that being said, the great thing about Tika's strategy is that just a handful of $1,000 investments could help you reach your freedom number. All right, Tika, I think we got time for one last question. How much do you recommend that we invest in each of those 6 coins that you're recommending?
Yeah, so this has been the special sauce for our success. How do you tame the insane volatility of this market? Here's the good news. Because this crypto market is still so small, you don't have to bet the farm on these coins. I already showed you how one of my readers invested just $100 in a handful of cryptos and he became a millionaire. So I'm going to show you one more note from another reader. This is a guy called Leonardo. This is what he said. Tika, I invested $200. That was a bit tough for me as I was in a little financial hardship. But today, that $200 investment has turned into about $130,000. That's truly life-changing. And I'm not even counting the income. Now my wife thinks I'm a genius. So friends, think about this. Leonardo was struggling, and it was hard for him to come up with just $200 to invest in this crypto, but he did it, and he turned it into a six-figure windfall, which is probably more money than he makes in an entire year. So here's what I tell my readers. It's what I've said from the very beginning. If you're a smaller investor, I recommend $200 to $500 per idea. If you're a bigger investor, you can put $500 to $1,000 into each idea. The key is to make it a uniform dollar amount across each of the ideas that you get involved with in the portfolio. So why do we do that? Well, you don't want to over-own a loser, and you don't want to under-own a winner, and that's the key. I wish I had the ability to tell you definitively which one was going to pay you $6,500 a month and which one was going to be a dud and do nothing. I don't possess that information. Nobody does. But what I do possess is a research process that has consistently found ideas in this space that have given my readers to make massive, life-changing gains. And so the way we take advantage of that and the way we deal with the volatility inherent in this asset class is we use small, evenly uniform positions across an entire portfolio. If you can do that, you put yourself in a position to reach your freedom number without putting your current lifestyle at risk. And that, my friends, is the key.
All right, I'm not letting you off the hook. Let's get to the moment that everybody has been waiting for. If we could have a drum roll. Well, we don't have one. What is your free pick? What's the name of that coin that's set to pay over $1 billion this coming year?
Well, it's a coin that's set up to compete with Ethereum, and it's called Solana. The ticker symbol on it is SOL. So Sally, Oscar, Larry, SOL. There are about 350,000 active wallets on the Solana network. That's close to Ethereum's 365,000 addresses. So this is one of the most active blockchains in the world right now. And it's a project that allows for transactions to be executed very quickly and very cheaply. In fact, the cost per transaction is virtually zero. That's why companies like Visa and Shopify have partnered with Solana to execute payments on their blockchain. And when it comes to digital payments, it doesn't get any bigger than Visa. They have more than 4 billion credit cards around the world, processing more than $14 trillion in volume. So the fact that Visa has partnered with this blockchain should tell you everything you need to know. I'm expecting the adoption on the Solana blockchain to go much, much higher. And of course, by now, you know what that means for payouts, right?
Oh yeah, cha-ching. Folks, I want you to write that down. The name is Solana, and the ticker is SOL. And remember, if you don't know exactly how to buy this coin, you can get all the details inside this report. Now, in that report, you'll also find 5 more opportunities that could be even more explosive than Solana. You know, Tika, we have covered a lot of ground today. This has been just great. I want to thank you for your time as usual and ask you if you have any last words.
Well, first of all, I want to thank you very much for being here. I really
My pleasure.
appreciate it. It's a great way to start the year.
Absolutely.
Friends, I want to thank you for being here. You know, I only get in front of this camera when I think it makes sense for you. If the marketing team had their druthers, they would have me in front of the camera once a week, every week, 52 weeks a year. But I say no more often than I say yes. And here's the reason why. There are unique times in history of this asset class when it makes sense to be incredibly decisive, when it makes sense to take action immediately. Now is one of those times. Now, I've said this several times tonight. I'm going to say it again. Bitcoin is one of the most hated investments in the world by traditional capital allocators. It's hated. Governments hate it. Up until very recently, Wall Street hated it. Pundits hate it. Economists hate it. It's 15 years old. In 15 years, It went from one of the most hated assets in the world to now being the 9th most valuable asset in the world without Wall Street. Without Wall Street. I want you to think about that. Yes, Bitcoin's going to go much higher. Ethereum's going to go much higher. But those coins are already huge. Bitcoin, I think, has an $800 billion market cap now. Ethereum has a $250 billion market cap. The coins that we're talking about, these crypto income coins, are tiny. 1 billion, 2 billion, maybe 20 billion here and there, sub 1 billion. They're tiny. When the door opens and that institutional capital can finally come into crypto, the moves will be breathtaking. The moves will be life-changing. The moves will be freedom-building. It will be unlike anything you've ever seen before. And if you wait, it will be too late. And I hate to be the guy to say that to you, to put that pressure on you. No one likes having pressure put on them. I don't. I hate being told what to do. It's why I left home at 16 and came to the States. I don't want to be told what to do, and I don't want to tell you what to do. That's why tonight, what I've tried to do is lay out my reasoning, is to show you how I've been able to help arguably more Americans change their financial life than anyone in this space. And it's not just been through blind luck. It's not just been through throwing darts at a dartboard. It's by following a process that have helped my readers win again and again and again and again. And now, on the largest influx of capital this space has ever seen. And if we're going to have the largest influx of capital, doesn't it make sense that we're going to have the biggest bull market we've ever seen? And doesn't it make sense that the smallest coins are going to move up the most? The least understood coins are going to move up the most? That's my playbook for the next 2 years. And I want you to come join me. These 6 coins, I believe, could double like that. As soon as these ETFs get approved, the world's going to go nuts for these coins. And then they could double again and double again and then double again. And we're off to the races. But this is just the beginning. My team is out there every single day looking how to wring as much money out of this market as possible to put you in a position for win. So come join me. Let's continue this journey together. I think it'll be the greatest decision you make this year and possibly the greatest financial decision you ever make in your life. Friends, I want to thank you so much for joining me tonight. And as I always like to say, I want you to always remember, let the game come to you.